Hi, everybody. Welcome back to Life After Neverland. Thank you so much for tuning in today. Today, I want to share with you an interview that I had with this most amazing woman. Her name is Geri Karabin. She is so fascinating. She's a human and animal psychic medium, an intuitive life coach, and a shaman practitioner. She has touched my life in several different ways, and it's just been weighing on my heart to share her with others because I feel like she can make such a huge impact in this world, and therefore I want to share her with you guys. So, hope you enjoy this interview. Thanks in advance for watching.
That totally reminds me about your cat on your lap. I've got to share this story, and I'm going to try not to cry, but this is what we kind of talked about before. Like, I can make myself cry this quickly about an animal I lost, 10 years ago or whatever. But this was my dog, Gibbs. We called him Leroy Jethro Gibbs from, was it NCIS or whatever?
I love it.
Anyway, we called him Gibbs, and we knew he had a tumor in his jaw, and it was really just starting to get bad. And we knew, and of course, as animal lovers, we want to make sure we don't go too early, we don't go too late. We're really trying, you know what I mean? It's like, oh, because it's
Yes.
just such a heartbreaking thing. And I could not make the decision. I just couldn't make the decision. So I kept saying to him, it's okay to go in your sleep. It's okay to go in your sleep. And I kept kind of saying, I need you to do this for me because I can't make the decision. I need you to do this for me. And he wouldn't do it. He wouldn't do it. He wouldn't do it. And finally, I could tell he was in pain. So I had to make the decision, and we brought him to the vet. And I realized when I was sitting there on the floor in my vet's office with him in my lap, that every single animal we have put, had to euthanize, had to put to sleep, has been in my lap. So I'm the last person they feel, the last person they see, the last person they hear say, I love you, good boy, good girl. And if I had woken up and come into the living room or the bedroom floor and found him already passed, it would have killed me.
Yes.
So he knew better than me.
Ah,
You know what I mean? Like, even though I was asking, he was like, I know you're asking, but I know this isn't really what you want. And it wasn't what I want. You know what I mean? They're just so smart. They're just so smart. I'm just saying.
No, I have to agree with you on that. And what's really weird, and I think each human being is so different because I feel like Boo taught me a lesson. Like she fought. She like you're saying they teach us lessons.
Yeah.
She fought so hard through her illness,
Mm-hmm.
and I feel like we fought together.
Yeah.
The two of us together for I felt fought for her and she fought for me. And so to have her with me like that at that moment in time worked for our relationship and what we
Yeah.
went through together.
Right.
But that doesn't always work for every animal
Doesn't
in
always
their
work for
situation.
everyone, but if everyone will allow themselves to get past, because oftentimes when you are the one that has to, make the decision, it's brutal. It's absolutely brutal. And even me knowing what I know, it's still brutal. It's still just absolutely brutal. So there's a lot of guilt around that. Was it too soon? Was it too late? Should I have not done it? Would he have recovered? Would, like all that stuff. It's a lot. So if we can see a little bit past that grief and understand that there's a message in there, that we learned something, that, so once we know that, what, they're okay on the other side, it's just a graduation, they're still with us. If we can kind of get to that point of, I'm not going to say no grief, because again, that doesn't happen, but maybe a little bit of openness around the grief, or that point when you can laugh about, remember that silly thing he used to do at the top of the stairs every morning? Do you know what I mean? When you can kind of get to that point,
Yes.
then you can, oh, that's why we went through that together. Like you just said, we went through this thing together. We were in this space together. We learned this thing together.
And isn't that beautiful?
It's incredible. It's incredible. It's just incredible. And I'm just so fortunate to be able to see things like that on a regular basis.
Yeah,
And people get it. Yeah.
it's painful. And it's not always beautiful. Like
Right. No.
Savage,
Yep.
he was hit by a car and it devastated Sean and I, and we were on vacation. We couldn't help
Yep.
it. It was uncontrollable and there was nothing we could do about it.
Yeah.
But when you have a moment like with one of your other animals, like I had with Boo, it bizarrely feels like a gift that we were able to get through this together, and I was able to hold her on her last
Yeah.
breath. But it's not easy,
Yeah.
you
No, it's
know?
not easy either.
No,
Not.
but oh my gosh, and the stories I'm sure that you hear.
Yeah.
And one of the things that, I wanted you to tell me more, because I mean, there's more that you do besides animal communication. I was looking on your website, and you are so fascinating because I was like, wow, she does so much more. Ooh, I need to dabble in what she's doing here. I need to check in with her on this. So one of them was one of many things. I wrote them all down. Tell me about your intuition work that you do with
Yeah,
people.
the intuition work I absolutely love. It's kind of basically the same thing as the animal work, but without the animal. In other words, what I do is I connect with you, just the human, psychically. And okay, what am I getting from your energy? And here's the next piece. I'm connecting with you, but then also your guides. Okay, so I want to be clear for people that are watching this that, like, because some people have, like, they have their guides, maybe one's like Archangel Michael or Raphael or something like that. So I'm connecting with your guides, but it's kind of like not those guides. It's almost like my set of guides for you, which includes God, spirit, universe, whatever we call it, and your higher source, you. So there's like, here's human Corinne that I'm looking at, but then there's higher source Corinne. And it's really funny, and I don't know if this happens to other people, but this is how it is for me. When I'll connect with you and I'll start, oh, this is coming up and I see this and I feel this and I hear this and da 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 da. And then I'll like, okay, guides, where are you? They always come in for me from up in the top right, and they're almost like a descending order, as if they're on like a set of bleachers, and they look like the Supreme Court justices.
Oh, wow.
It's hysterical, and not everybody sees it that way. It's just for some reason that's how it comes in my mind. So I always tell people that, and they kind of laugh, and I'm like, but they're not judging you. They're not judging. Even though they're dressed like judges, they're not judging. It's just like the parts of you, God, spirit, universe, and that higher source you that knows who you really, really are, not the human part of you that believes in false things about yourself.
Yes.
And believes in, old core beliefs that are no longer serving you. Do you know what I'm saying? So it's like, I'm connecting with you here, and then I'm connecting with that there. So I just start kind of spewing out the psychic information that comes in. And then we start talking. Like, I'm like, okay, is any of that why you're here today? And 9 times out of 10, it is. And so then it's like, we kind of play with it a little bit. We talk a lot more in those sessions than we do like in the animal session. So it's like, but I will still cut you off if you're telling me too much information, and it's just kind of like, okay, so we kind of get down to a negative belief about yourself or something that, okay, that's getting in the way. And things kind of come up. The other thing about me is I'm a huge student of the law of attraction. And I have been reading and studying under Abraham Hicks, going to workshops and reading their books for like 25 years.
Wow.
At this point, so long time.
Yes.
So that's a way that I always say they know to give me information, because I know so much about it. So that's a way for me to, oh, okay, she's looking at it like this, and we need her to look at it like this. Do you know what I mean? So it's really just kind of me being open. And again, it's just a conduit. I'm the conduit for what you need to hear. And then you walk out better, like, oh, okay. And it's not always like, you walk out and like, I'm healed. It doesn't work that way. Do you know what I mean? But it's like, suppose let's just use something like, okay, suppose you're, my client is somebody that consistently has poor relationships, is looking for a mate, can't, poor relationships, keeps, dating the same guy or gal over and over. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it might come down, right? Been there, done that. It might come down to, thank God we are where we are now, just saying.
All right.
Yay, Rich, yay, Sean, it might come down to like this belief about themselves that is from years ago when they were growing up, or even past lives it could be.
Yeah.
Here's a really, really cool thing. Just the little side note, I studied under Brian Weiss. Dr. Brian Weiss does past life regression therapy. Okay.
Oh, wow, that's
What they
fascinating.
found when they did this is just the awareness of that thought is enough to help you change it. So in other words, let's go back to the example of we have, you know, I'm dating the wrong person over and over and over. Okay, so now you have a session. Now you're aware of this thought. The next time you're like going out and you're like, oh, I'm kind of attracted to this guy. He'll say something and you're like, oh my God, that's that same type. So you're aware of it when you weren't aware of it before. And just that being aware of it is enough to make you say, hey, I don't want to go down that path again. I don't have to go down that path again. Now that's like a really basic way of describing it, but it's putting you on in the right path, in the right direction, on the right path. Here's one thing that I always tell people coming to me. If you're coming to me for like the pill, and I'm using like air quotes here, you know, like just fix it.
Yeah, right.
Doesn't work that way.
No,
you have to do your work. You have to do your work. You have to be like, okay, I'm triggered right now, or oh yeah, I'm aware that I'm doing the same thing I've done for the past 20 years. You have to do your work. And so that's also kind of what, like, and you may leave an intuitive session and I'm like, here's your homework. ABC, you have to do these things. And it's not like, okay, you got to email me something in a week or whatever, but do you know what I mean? It's like you kind of have your marching papers.
Yes.
When you're done with the session.
And literally, like the session that I had with you last week, like I told you before, when you were telling me that I just need to be aware of my do-do-dos and how I need to be okay with my do-do-dos, like however much I've done for today, I need to have to be okay with what I'm doing, and it's okay for now. And so when you were telling me that, like literally ever since then, I've been repeating that in my mind. It's okay for now. So I feel like these sessions with you, whether it is the animal communication, because you work with the human and the animal, or just the human, it is a soul session.
Yeah, and that's a great example of what you just said right there, because what I was talking about before, the awareness of it. So now after that session, you're aware when you're starting to amp up, like I gotta go, you know, when you're aware, you're like, oh, okay, I'm amping up. So you can say that it's okay for now. It's okay for now, it's okay for now. That's a perfect example, Corinne, of what I was just saying. Just the awareness of it, like, oh my God, I'm doing it. I'm doing it again. I'm doing it again.
I really, Geri, I have like, you know, I don't want to make you uncomfortable, obviously, but, you know, because compliments are hard, but it's like, I just think that, like we talk about synchronicities and we talk about, well, we haven't said this word, but fate and how things lead you to other people and their gifts. And I feel like what you have is a gift, and I was led to you. It's so crazy. You know, you talk about animals. Like I never would have looked into any of this had it not been for Savage. And if it wasn't for what happened to Savage, I wouldn't even know who Abraham Hicks is. And I do.
Right.
I know exactly who you're talking
about. It's tendrils. It's like, okay, Savage and this and this and this and all this stuff. So even though it's horrid and horrible and heartbreaking what happened, he's still with you, and there's some good that came out of it.
Yeah, he's the tragedy has helped me grow as a human being, I feel like, and is continually helping me grow. Obviously, I don't want tragedy, but but the moral of the story is, how do you take that and what do you do with it? And it led sorry, I have a cat sitting here like laying in, like I have these lights right up here and they're really warm, and he's like laying down, he's like, ah. He like loves it. It's like he's laying in the sun. It got me distracted, sorry. Anyways, Geri, you have like you're I don't know how to describe it. You have this, the world needs people who have like a knowledge that is soul driven. I feel like a lot of us are just looking at what's on the surface. Not everybody, but I've always looked at what's on the surface. And once I started delving like deeper into what's like going on in my soul and the universe and God and all of this stuff, which I look at God as the universe.
Yeah.
Everyone has a different way of looking
Mhm.
at it. But wow, have I really started to feel like I've been able to get in touch with myself and how to be a better human being and be better in the
Yeah.
world that we live in.
And I think doing this work has done the same for me, because there is a type A piece about me, type A. And I got to keep learning, got to keep
Same.
learning, got to keep learning. But the cool thing is this is the path I'm on. So I'm learning better tools for this type of work, and other ways to do this type of work, and other ways to help people heal themselves. I'm one of those people that is very uncomfortable if somebody says you're a healer. No, no, no. I don't do the healing.
You do the healing.
I help you do your own.
Absolutely.
And that's a big piece with me, because I do my own work too. Anybody that does energetic type work like this, and that works with other people, you better be doing your own work. You got to be doing your own work, because because stuff's going to come up for you. And it does for me too. We always, part of our things we laugh about is when you give a session, you get a session. So half the times I'm sitting there reading animals, and I'm telling, Corinne, you need to do whatever. I get off the phone and I'm like, oh yeah, that was for me too. You know what I mean? It happens all the time. Or I'll get a week where it's like the same theme over and over and over. And I'll be like, why the heck is that coming up all the time? And I'll be like, oh, yeah. Because it'll be like totally for me. So it's like you give a session, you get a session. But it has, to me too, just really made me continue to dive in and continue to do that work and continue to say, what else can I learn? But again, not, what else can I learn about myself? And sometimes it's not good stuff. What else that's going to come up? We always say it's like an onion, you're all good. And then the layer of the onion comes off and you're like, oh boy, that's ugly.
Exactly.
Like, that was an ugly reaction I just had, or that was an unkind thing I just did. That's not me. Where was that from? And then you're like, okay, I got to do the work. How do I release that? How do I let go of that? And then by doing that myself, I'm somehow better able to be of service. I don't know if that makes sense.
It makes a ton of sense.
Yeah.
Like that's how we grow. That's how we become better, not only for ourselves, right?
Yeah.
But for other people. And I think people don't even realize. It's kind of sad to me, because a very, very dear, my vet, I've had my vet forever, and his soul is so beautiful. And I don't know, like half of the animals that I have would not be alive today if it wasn't for him. Because one time he was away and I had to go to a different vet, and the only option I had was to put my cat to sleep. That was it. Then he was, by the grace of God, he was back the next day, and I went to him, and he gave me different options, to make a long story short. And the cat is still here today.
Oh my God.
But his wife is, she does rescue and things like that. And I feel like people think that animals, from looking at her and her experience with the rescue, I can't even imagine the type of pain that they go through, as well as beautiful, happy moments. But the discard and the way people don't care about animals' well-being in life,
right,
when they're here, in my opinion, to teach us something.
Yeah. And that's another really great thing that I get to do, because I don't, those kind of people are not calling me for a session. The one that are very like, they're not even living, they're like a dog chained out in the backyard. Do you know what I mean? Like those are not the kind of, so I'm blessed in doing this, because I don't get a whole lot of that.
That is blessed.
You know what I mean? But I do, we have a German short hair pointer, and very fun, crazy breed. And we volunteer for Southeastern German Shorthair Pointer Rescue.
Nice.
So I do get to see a lot of people that like, because they're hunting dogs. We don't hunt them, but they're just a great breed. But they're hunting dogs, so a lot of times people will, if they don't hunt, they dump them. So we have it's a Southeastern German Shorthair Pointer Rescue that will get them out of shelters and get them into foster homes and stuff like that. So I see it in that aspect, but because we volunteer for them, we're able to do the happy stuff. We're able to go get them out of a shelter or help transport them to a foster care or their new mom or, you know, something like that. So, and I do feel, and maybe it's just me and maybe that's a law of attraction thing or whatever, but because I love them so much and because we're putting that out there, I think there's so many people that we're consciously changing the world.
Yes.
For the love of animals. Do you know what I mean? I really feel that things are changing. There's more states, I believe, that are making it a felony if you do something bad, you know what I mean? And I think that we're consciously changing the world. Because, you know, people like you and me are like, how in God's name can you do something? Like, I mean,
yes.
It doesn't even compute to me.
Right.
Like, I mean, they're my babies.
Yes.
My babies,
and they're living creatures that are literally helpless.
Yeah.
And
I'm the kind of person, literally, my husband, this was a funny story. For some reason in the summer here, we've got a ton of flies. And there was a fly buzzing around the kitchen. This was months ago. And I was like, oh, and it was making me crazy, but I'm not going to kill it. But I'm like, and I said, look, fly. And I went, I opened the kitchen door to the outside. I said, the door is open. I don't want you in here and you don't want to be in here. Go out now. And the fly literally flew, landed on my arm, stayed there for about 10 seconds, and then flew out the door. I was like, thank you. Do you know what I mean? So my point in that is just that if I can pick it up and get it out, as opposed to stepping on it.
Yes.
You know what I mean? That's how I've come, because I guarantee you, you know, growing up, a spider, whack. You know what I mean? Like I have trouble doing that. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, literally, like we come from the same mindset. I'll give my quick example.
Yeah.
So Sean was playing video games the other night, and the cats were obsessed with this little baby lizard. I mean, it was a baby gecko.
The little geckos that we get. Yeah.
Yes. And I'm trying to get it in these little stubby hands, you know, like protect it. I couldn't do it. I had to make Sean quit his video game, like literally stop everything he was doing to come get this little gecko, take it outside and save it from our cats. You know, a gecko. Most people be like, whatever, you know.
We got those geckos in there in the mornings. We have to like go out. We have a pool in the backyard. We go out and we have to like get the frogs out of the pool before they drown. You know what I mean? We have this thing in the skimmer that they can walk up. You know, we get the, you know, we've had geckos in the pool where I'm like, you know, and get them out. I know it's crazy.
Oh, Jesus, little creature, right? All of them deserve to live.
All of them deserve to live.
Well, this leads me to probably the most important question. I have two.
Okay.
One is, how did you get started? And, you know, in all that stuff, how did it evolve? And then the second one is, I'd love to hear about your shaman work as well.
Yeah, well, it's a 2-in-1 question there, because I did get started doing the shaman work. And again, it was 2014 that I got started in this. And I remember it was probably like New Year's Eve. And for some reason I was with a bunch of people and somebody brought up this book, and it was a book called Shaman Healer Sage, which is a really great book. Even if you're not going to become a shaman or anything like that, it's a really great book. It's by Alberto Villoldo. And he was founder of the Four Winds Society, which he was a academia out in California. He was a anthropologist.
Mm-hmm.
God, I hope that's right. I'm pretty sure that's right. And he gave up his career and went to the Amazon and started studying. He wanted to study plants for medicinal purposes. But he hooked up with these shamans, and he ended up being out there for like a really long time and learning all their ways for years and years and years, these shamans, and how shamans think about life and how they practice their own medicine. And he brought that back and started the Four Winds Society. So I studied with them. It's like it took me about 3 years to get through all the classes. And it was, you know, in shamanism, we do what's called an illumination and a lost soul retrieval. So you can do it like over the phone. It's better if you do it in person, I feel, but I do plenty of them over the phone. And so what it is it's just kind of the shaman's way of releasing things that are no longer serving you. So, and it kind of goes in the other things that I do with clients. So a client will come over and we'll sit there and be talking about it, and you know, what's coming up for you, and they're saying, oh, it's this that's coming up for me. Well, I'm connecting intuitively, and I'm like, nope, it's not that, it's not that. They think it's this. So then I kind of guide them till all of a sudden they're like, oh, and I'm like, there it is. Do you know what I mean? And then it's a more of a physical thing after that. They'll lie on the table and I'm working in what we call the luminous energy field, which is like the aura. And everybody has that. And I'm also working clearing chakras. I have what's called a mesa. Shamans have a mesa and it's got stones in it. So you're placing stones on chakras and stuff like that. And you're just kind of helping release this stuff. Again, it's another way, like what we had said before, you become aware of this thing and you're like, oh, and so then I help physically kind of sweep it away. But then we do a little bit of role playing, and it's me using my intuition and you, what's the first thing that comes into your head? What's the first thing that comes into your head? And so it again gives you like marching papers, like, okay, now we've started to clear this thing. Now you know when it comes up again. You can see the trigger. You're aware of it. So it's just kind of like another modality to, you know, I always talk about all these modalities that we have, whether it's Reiki or this or that or the other thing. It's all kind of to get us to the same thing, to heal ourselves, to grow ourselves, to move forward, to let go of the things that aren't serving us.
Right.
So that's the shaman thing. And so when I would be studying, I studied in upstate New York and I studied out in Joshua Tree in California. And all my fellow shamans were always like, you got an animal thing going on there, you know? And it was like, because there was always like, we would be in the woods, you know, you do whatever. And it's like, everybody go out and partner up or whatever. Well, you're in the woods or in the desert when I was in California, and you'd be like, okay, you know, hook up and do this. And there'd be up at the Omega Institute, there's a groundhog and there's a albino skunk and there's all everybody would be like, oh, I've never seen it. I'm like, it's right there. You know what I mean? Because it would always be, because I got this animal thing going on. Everybody,
Right.
and they were like, do you read animals? And I'm like, I don't know, let me try. You know, give me an animal to read, you know? And like I said before, that's kind of how it started. Like, okay, now I'm able to do this. And then I hooked up with other people. I started reading books on all other of the animal communicators out there, Penelope Smith and Joan Ranquet and Danielle McKinnon and all those guys, and read all that stuff. And then I ended up studying with Danielle McKinnon because she had a series of classes that kind of kept you, you know, took you higher and higher and higher on how to do that. And for me, it worked out really well because I was just like, okay, I'm just going to ask this dog a question. But I wanted it to be so much more than it is. So they are the deeper readings where it's not like, oh, okay, your dog likes a blue bed and a red ball.
Right.
Like, okay, because it wasn't about me getting that right. Do you know what I mean? Like we said before, it's not about ego, and it's not about me saying, woohoo, I'm really good, because they're, oh my God, my dog does have a blue bed and like a red ball. Do you know what I mean? Because that doesn't, like, what's the point of that really? Other than party tricks, sort of, when this is for real and you can take it to such a deeper level, like we said, the messages and the lessons and the stuff that they teach you, or, you know, that these animals teach you. And that's kind of how it all evolved. And now I'm doing, studying mediumship, human mediumship, because it was kind of like the next level, because it was like, okay, well, I'm connecting with animals that are crossed. Can I do that with humans? Do you know what I mean? So I'm kind of studying with people, and I'm in development circle. We call development circle every week. You go and you sit in circles and you practice fellow mediums. So that's kind of like out there that I'm, what they say is all mediums are psychic. Not all psychics are mediums. So I'm kind of in that phase of, I don't know if I'm a full-blown medium, but I call myself a psychic medium because a lot of mediums are very stickler about, did you get that psychically or mediumistically? For me, I'm kind of like, who cares? If
Yeah.
I'm being of service, who cares
Oh
how
my
I
gosh,
got
I
it?
love your way of thinking.
Yeah. So it's kind of like if I'm getting the information for the client or for the friend or for the person that needs it, so I'm kind of playing with that a little bit and see how I don't feel really confident enough to, I'm a medium, hire me and I will connect to your grandma, because I'm not confident in that yet. And I'm one of those people that's kind of persnickety about, I'm not going to do it if I can't.
But I love that about you. Like, even though we've only talked for a short time, like
Yeah.
in small increments,
Yeah.
I feel like, those small increments have given me enough to know that you are honest, you
Yeah.
are sincere, and you're truly genuine. And, you know, from the things that I've read and studied, not as in depth as you have, you really have to clear your mind to be able to be in, and correct me if I'm wrong, okay? Because you're the
Yeah.
one that has
Yeah.
more expertise than I do. But you really have to like get in a mindset where your mind is clear in order to get those messages.
Yeah.
And I mean, it is a study, it is a practice. No.
It is a practice for sure. Meditation helps big time, because that's just another way of clearing your mind. The meditation for me is like that's the me doing my own work.
Right.
That's the me doing my own work. When I have a client, I definitely go through my little routine. I always burn sage, in my office and on me and everything.
Keep yourself
I
safe.
do use essential oils,
Mhm.
but that's more of like a ritual for me. It's kind of what I do, that my 5-minute thing that I do before that gets me in that space.
Yeah.
And totally, and I totally let go of whatever's going on or what I have to do later, or what so to do that, you have to practice. You have to practice over and over and over. And I always say, this is the thing that some of us talk about. I'm nervous before every single session.
Of course you
I'm
are.
nervous. I'm nervous. I'm sitting there and I'm going, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. And somebody asked me once, like, what are you nervous about? I go, I don't know. Like, maybe what if it doesn't work this time? What if
Right.
nothing happens? What
Yeah.
if like nothing happens? And I've had teachers and mentors say, it doesn't work that way. Has it ever not happened? I'm like, no, but what if it doesn't happen? Because what if I'm sitting here with a client and the client's like, well, and I'm like, I got nothing, you know what I mean? Like,
Yes.
so I'm always nervous, but I also think that it's good to be nervous, because once you get to the point where you're like, yeah, I'm going to do this and I'm all that or whatever, there's a lot of ego in there.
Yes.
And you're like, I'm good and I can do this. That's ego. And so
Mhm.
now it's become about me, as opposed to who it should be about is the client, the human and the animal, or, if we're just doing intuitive, you know what I'm saying?
I know
So I
everything.
kind of like that I'm still nervous. The first time I do one where I'm like not nervous,
Get
that
people
means
to
I got to do some work.
yeah.
You know what I mean?
Jerry,
Yeah.
I totally get it because I can only imagine, first of all, especially if you're on the phone, you don't know the person that you're talking to. You don't know how their reaction is going to be. And okay, so if you're, I always think about this. So if you're thinking about their energy and maybe they're wound up too much, maybe they're upset, and then trying to channel in that probably puts a lot of walls up. No.
It's actually interesting that you brought this up, because I actually do. I want to talk about lost animals for a second, because that's a perfect example of that. Not all animal communicators read for lost animals, because it's really, really hard.
I've read that. Yeah.
We do live things. So you're on the phone and here's this person that their grief is like, I mean, they're freaking out because
Oh,
they're like, how do I find my dog? How do I find my cat or whatever? So you have to really get yourself into this really clear spot. I am able to in like all my readings, but lost animals are super, super hard. So I actually started doing them differently. I found this woman, she's great. Her name's Pam Coronado. She lives out in California and she does psychic detective work
what?
all over the country and all over the world. Sorry, I have a dog having a dream under my table.
Oh, that's
So you're gonna hear like, "Rah, rah, rah, rah," that kind of thing.
so
So
great.
she does this work like all over the country, right? And I thought, you know what? I'm gonna take a class from her. And I reached out to her like, what do you think? Could this translate to lost animals? And she's like, absolutely. So now I read, sorry, my dog.
Never be sorry.
I read for lost animals differently. I don't do it on the phone live because it is that difficult to block off that grief and stay really centered and stay really cleared.
Right.
So then for a lost animal, now what I do is I say, send me a picture of your animal. That's all I want. And so I do it that way. I connect with the animal that way. And then I just send them a really detailed description of what I'm seeing. But that kind of speaks to what you were saying. Like if somebody's on there and they've got like a lot of grief around something, you do have to be really, it's not like you put up walls or you block it really, but you just have to be, for me, it's actually easier if I'm just like, it's okay to cry and I understand your grief. So you guys just go ahead and cry and that's okay. And just let me do my thing. I think I've done it a lot now that I don't have a problem. And now my dog, while I'm sitting right here, is just like going through my garbage can. Isn't it funny? Like, just like,
feel free to take care of it if you need.
Feel free, because I'm doing a little live thing here. You can feel free to go through my garbage can.
I love it.
No, so I think you end up learning how to not have to put up blocks, or you end up learning how to be able to keep yourself in that space.
Well,
And again, practice for years and years and years. Yeah.
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 I see that as a beautiful gift. I have a cat that wants to it's laying on the computer right now.
It's about animal communication. There's animals all over the place.
Yeah, I have a cat here.
Havoc.
Yeah. Cat, dog. But listen, I mean, I know I could talk to you forever, and that is why I would love to in the future, whenever you're available, we'd love to have you, and you just let us know when that time is, because you really are fascinating. Because I always thought, that would be wow. Like, I'm fascinated by what you do, but there's so many aspects that come into play, like anxiety, fear, calming your mind. You have to do all of those things to help people who have all of those things. Yeah, it can be crazy. I would love to come on again. Thank you so much for saying that. I would love to come on again, and maybe in the future we'll do something fun and we'll do some live readings, because I've done that before, which is like super cool. People will, I don't know how we would do that, but they could like email you questions before or something like that, because I do that all the time with for other I did a radio show not too long ago with that, where people would just call in and they'd have a quick question about something, and it's super, super fun. And I love doing it because it opens people's minds to this kind of thing. Yes.
And opens their minds to communicating with their own animals. You know what I mean? Try it yourself, and I will say that communicating with your own animals can sometimes be difficult because there's an attachment to it. Yes. But if it's something silly, like, why are you not, do you not like the tuna now? You know what I mean?
Yeah. Like Alice, why do you tinkle on all of our stuff? Okay, Alice.
Yeah, there you go.
One day we'll be talking to you about Alice.
Alice. Got it.
We took presidents before, but next call is about you, Alice. You're in the hot seat.
That's funny. That's funny.
Oh my gosh. That would be so much fun, Geri.
Yeah, that would be fun.
Very generous.
Yes, that'd be super fun.
I know, gosh, I could talk to you for hours. But I don't want to take advantage of your time. So in wrapping, tell me what you're working on. Tell me anything that you want any viewers to know about. How do they get in contact with you? And then also you have a podcast. So tell us all about that.
Oh yeah. I have a podcast with two of my colleagues, and we call it The Psychic Wives, which we love because, sometimes a lot of people think oh, you're psychic, so you should be wearing a turban and flowy skirt and all this stuff. No, I'm in a black t-shirt and shorts and no turban. Do you know what I mean? And I'm a wife, and there's dogs running around, and I have a house, and my husband's going to come home in an hour and whatever. Do you know what I mean? So it's so we love The Psychic Wives because we just call it everyday living with a twist. So, and we talk about, it's just audio podcast, and it's on Apple Podcasts and also Spotify. And we just talk about anything energetic. So we talk about animal communication and this thing, but we also have on a lot of guests. with different modalities, Reiki masters and people that read tarot cards and stuff like that. So first of all, my website is gerikarabin.com. So it's GeriKarab as in boy, IN as in Nancy, gerikarabin.com. And you can actually see all my services there. You can see little videos about how some of them work, and you can see all the podcasts there. You can also find me on Facebook at Geri Karabin. I think it's just Geri Karabin on Facebook. And I post a lot of stuff on there, funny animal things. I do a blog, and you can see that there. So you can get in touch with me that way. The podcast also, like I said, we have that, that's our website, and it's thepsychicwives.com. And that's a super fun thing that we do. I also have a little bit, if anybody's interested in just kind of dipping their toe in a little bit, I'm doing a psychic fair coming up October 30th. So it's Friday and Saturday. So I think that would be October 30th and November 1st. And I do it through New Hampshire Metaphysical. Now, we can't do it in person, obviously, because I live in North Carolina and they live up in, and they're up in New Hampshire. But the owner there figured out a way for us to all just kind of do it on our own time. But what we do is we offer specials. So normally my 15-minute quickie reading would be, I think it's $45 for the, during the psychic fair, it's only $25. So it's a great way to just like get a little blip or, you know, ask a quick question about an animal or yourself. Doesn't have to be animal, could be yourself. So that's going on. Gosh, I got a lot going on.
Excited for you. Keep telling us more if you have any others.
Yeah, no, I think that's it. That's psychic fair. Then there's another one in December. The Psychic Wives, the podcast, all that stuff. On a personal note, I got to throw this in there because it's hysterical. My husband decided he wanted an RV. And so we've been watching shows. We've got a monster bus parked outside. We bought a second home, but it's on wheels. So my first camping trip is October 18th. So I'm taking a week off. And so I always say we're either going to come home and put a for sale sign on it or come home having already booked our second trip. And you're going to totally resonate with this, Corinne, because one of the reasons we bought it is because when we travel, all we have to do is throw the dogs in it, throw all the animals in it, and go. I don't have to leave them behind.
You're my soul person.
It's so funny because we got it several weeks ago, and every night my husband comes home and he's like, come on, and the dogs are waiting at the door because they want to go get in it. So it's really super funny. So I'm hoping to actually be doing readings from the road as we move forward. You know, have phone will travel, and can you imagine if I end up in like, you know, Sedona or something? Can you end up doing, you know, the you know, Sedona, for anybody that doesn't know, is this amazingly crazy energetic space.
Yeah,
I'll make sure that I put it out there like, hey, going to be doing readings from Sedona, so
this has to happen for you.
Be blown away. So yeah, so there's a lot going on
Geri,
right now. Yeah, it's crazy.
So crazy. Like before we end all of this, well, hold on, did I interrupt you? Like, is there anything else? Because I got excited about the last thing you just said.
Nope, that's pretty much it for now. That's it. But there's things being added all the time because people are like, will you do this? Sure. You know, that's where I am right now, finishing up the psychic detective work. So, and again, I don't plan on doing psychic detective work. That it's just not really my thing. I don't, you know, I mean, if somebody needed me to, I wouldn't say no to helping, but I continue to do that. And I'm right now in the advanced class, because again, everything that you learn about being psychic helps you with your clients. Do you know what I mean? So yes. That's one thing I'm always doing. It's very rare that I'm not taking some sort of intuitive or psychic class, just to, again, add to the toolbox, you know, add it to the toolbox. So yeah, that's where we are.
I love it. You're so fascinating to me, and legit.
You're so sweet.
As you know, out of this world it might sound, I really feel like whatever, you know, universal energies that happened when Savage left my world connected me to you. And it's so crazy to me to think that, like, when you say that about the RV, here's what's weird, okay? Or wild. I should say wild, not weird, wild. Yeah. Is that Sean and I were talking about, because my mother-in-law loves the whole RV scene.
Yeah.
And Sean and I were like, wouldn't it be amazing if we could get a gigantor
Yep.
RV and literally just take our dogs and travel the world, which is so funny that you say
Yeah.
that. So like you are my inspiration right now.
It's so cool. And the dogs love it. They just jumped right in the thing and they're just like, okay, where are we going?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm probably the one that's most anxious about it because it's huge. It's like this big bus thing. And I'm like, I ain't driving that. Right? But my husband's driving it like a pro and the dogs are jumping in. And I'm like, okay, whatever. So yeah, that is like that's our new little adventure. Now we're not like just taking off because we can't. My husband, I can do my work from anywhere.
Right.
He can't. So we're starting out on the little trips or whatever. But hopefully, like I said, going forward, I'll be doing readings like from some amazing nature place, amping them up. And I had to say this too, because this is another thing. It has nothing to do with anything, but you have a cat, Boo. You had a cat, Boo.
Boo.
I had a dog, Boo.
What? What? I swear.
Yeah, there's all these little synchronistic things about us.
So true. It really is so true, which makes this interview so fun. So
great. It's awesome. It's awesome.
Yes. I'm so grateful, like to the extreme, that I was able to have the opportunity to get to know you. Thank you, Savi. I'll give him the credit.
Yeah.
And for connecting us. And the first day I ever spoke to you, I was so nervous. I was a hot mess.
Oh, so funny. I was nervous too. Remember, I say that whenever I read, I'm nervous. So that's good.
You warmed my soul. And I feel like it does more. So, no matter what, I think what you do for the person who has lost their loved one, whatever capacity that is, you really you bring a light that we can take in, and it makes us feel something that maybe we didn't feel before. If that makes
Thank you so much for saying that, because again, that's what it's about for me. It's not about me getting it right. It's about me. It's not about me at all. It's about that conduit thing helping you. And if I've done that, then, or if I'm able to get the message through your loved one, whether it's dog or human or whatever, then I feel like I'm doing what I'm supposed to do. Yes. And we're all supposed to be loving on each other and helping each other and growing, etc. So, amen to that. If we can, if we can do that, you gotta do it if you can do it.
Right.
You know what I mean? And that's kind of what I think. If I can do this and if I can help somebody, I got to do it.
Well, you are. Don't quit. I mean,
okay. Yeah, I won't. I promise.
One more thing I wanted to say, because I want people to know this. I experienced you twice. I spoke with you twice about two different dogs. And the first time we didn't know each other, period. And you asked me on the very first call, we didn't talk about it in advance. So I want everyone to know this.
Yeah.
She said, basically, she just said, what animal do you want to speak about? Is it a dog, cat, whatever?
Fish, yeah.
And then what is the animal's name? And you said, I'm getting a Rottweiler. So you didn't have the opportunity to research me on the internet.
Right.
You literally, it was an intuitive feeling. Wow, is what I have to say to that.
Yeah.
And then
because the animals will show themselves to you sometimes. Although it's really funny because I'll say sometimes to people, like I might be reading a Chihuahua and the Chihuahua is showing themselves to me as, like I tell people, don't get too caught up with that. Like if I get it wrong, right? It's not wrong because the animal may show themselves. I'm reading a Chihuahua and they're showing themselves as a Saint Bernard. But all that means is like maybe they saved somebody, or they feel they're a big dog, or they're or they wear a barrel around their whatever. They're all pieces of information.
Yes.
So yeah, but that happened to be when it is pretty cool when they do it that way though.
Right, and no pressure on you on that.
I know, right? That is
like,
cool.
Oh, why didn't she guess my?
I know exactly.
Yeah, you know what I mean. But like you literally you truly have a gift, and it's absolutely
thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you.
Yo. So Geri, thank you again so much for being here. We really appreciate you. We hope to meet with you again in the future. Is there anything else you have to say in wrapping?
I just want to say thank you so much, Corinne, for allowing me to be here, because it just means the world to me that you are one of the good peeps that is helping get the word out about this kind of stuff. So everybody that is watching, if it's not me, that's cool. Find somebody that you can go to that's going to open your world up just a little bit. Find somebody so that you can grow and you can expand and you can get those messages and be that person that you're meant to be. Just find somebody, open up. Yeah.
I couldn't agree more. I feel like we all have growth at any point in our life.
Yeah.
Whether you find that growth through the loss of a pet, a loss of a person, or maybe just listening to this interview and being inspired by it just in general. Pick up a book, read it, see what it does for your soul, right?
Exactly. It's all about opening up and finding that space.
Geri, you're beautiful. I hope everyone checks out your podcast, your website, your Instagram, your YouTube, all that good stuff. I adore you to pieces.
I adore you too. Thank you so much. Mwah.
Mwah. I'll talk to you soon.
Yes, you will.
Bye, Geri. Thank you so much. So there you have it, everyone. I hope you enjoyed this interview. Enzo hopes you do too. I'm going to attach all of the social media outlets attached to Geri in the description. Thank you, everyone, for watching. Please leave a comment if you have any special stories of your own. We'd love to hear them. God bless you all and have a blessed day. Bye, everyone. Enzo says bye.